Welcome to Tape Noise Podcasts, another part of our Muscle Shoals Storyteller series. Thank you again for listening. And man, Jimmy Johnson, Swamper, Muscle Shoals Sound Studio owner.
A legend in every sense of the word.
Hero of mine, quite frankly, because he's a guitar player, engineer, producer, and all of the things like that I am and try and aspire to be. So,
and it's not overselling it to say that music as we know it would not exist without him,
Oh yeah, that is not an understatement.
We spent a lot of years down here. I remember I first came down here. The place was fixing to be sold just to a company to be like a storage place or something. And so I come down here and I got with one of the city fathers and told him, what my plans were. I said, we have a option of actually going to Huntsville. We was offered free property, and they would build us a facility if we came there. And
I've never heard this story.
That was in close to the Rocket Center.
That would have changed everything.
But I'm glad we didn't go, because there never would have been a Muscle Shoals sound.
So this was,
Huntsville Sound doesn't have the same.
Because that's how we named our company.
So let me ask you this. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Was this before you guys moved to the place on Jackson Highway, or before you moved to this?
Before. Oh yeah.
That was before you moved to the original place. So when you guys left Fame,
Well, what happened? I was at Fame from 1960.
Yeah.
Can you remember what were you doing in 1960?
I wasn't thought of in 1960. I was born in 1985, and you were born in
87. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm about to have my 33rd birthday this month. So,
me. I'm not 33rd.
I've got a son that's 53.
Right, Jay, great guy. I need to get him on the podcast. He's an incredible person.
He can play pretty good.
He's a really good player. He's an even better guy.
Good guy.
I've enjoyed the time I've been able to spend with him. He's a good guy.
He puts up with his dad,
Well, let me. You're probably fixing to go there, so I'm just going to let you ask whatever you were going to ask.
Guess where he's at now?
Probably Europe.
He's in Sweden.
That was my Skinny Molly, man. And he was in radio. Is it Radio or Rodeo Tokyo?
Radio.
Radio Tokyo and Blackfoot.
Blackfoot.
And it's on Train.
Yeah. And he
I had no
also
idea.
played on that tour with the Skynard tour with Blackfoot.
That's right. And I guess, is that how the Skinny Molly thing came to be, with Mike Estes being the leader?
Mike was already in Skynard.
Right.
He actually was a member of Skynard for about 3 or 4 years.
It was the era with, was it Endangered Species or whatever, that acoustic record they did?
I'm not even sure.
That was a really good record.
Was it?
Yeah, the one that had Devil in the Bottle and all that stuff on it. I think he was either a writer or
I cut all the major hits. I didn't know if you knew that. I cut all I'd say top 10 or 20 of their major hits.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that.
Are you sure? Because I got questions.
I want to ask you some questions on that, but I don't want to lose the thing we were talking about earlier about the possibility of you guys moving to Huntsville.
Okay, that is where I was going to go.
Being from the Decatur area, Johnny Sandlin and all those guys.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to Muscle Shoals music as a kid. 5, 6 years old, knowing about Muscle Shoals and looking at the names on the albums, the production and engineering credits and who the players were and all of that.
We was doing Bob Seger and all them,
You guys were talking when you left Fame of a possibility to go to Huntsville or go on Jackson Highway. Were there any other places?
Another place. I had an offer. I had about 2 or 3 offers. I had an offer to go to Jackson, Mississippi, and work with Malaco Records.
Well, now that comes full circle.
Yeah, and I wound up going down when I could get free time, which wasn't very much. I would go down and play sessions down there, just myself.
Oh, okay.
I'd just drive down myself.
What kind of things did you work on? Anything
like ZZ Hill.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. A lot of all their artists.
That's awesome.
They had who was the guy that was so good? Had the bus. I tell you, a song I played on was Misty Blue. Remember that? By Dorothy Moore? And but everything they were doing down there, they would try to get me down when I was free. And I'd go down. I loved it. See, Tommy Couch, he was president of Malaco. And he was from Tuscumbia. And I knew him from basically high school period. He was going to Dessler and I was going to Sheffield.
It's a small world.
But we were great friends, he and I were. And there was a period he was working at Reynolds in the cast house.
Oh, I worked at it when it was Wise in the
this is just when it was
area.
just Reynolds,
Yeah,
And
so I know all about that.
So he was doing that. I never worked at Reynolds. My dad did 40 years.
It's hard work. I have a great deal of respect for those
My
guys.
dad was a crane operator.
Oh, wow. Was he probably on the hotline or
He was doing shipping.
Okay, yeah.
Mainly.
Yeah.
For those of you listening that don't know what Reynolds or Wise are, it's a plant around this area. It makes aluminum, right? Specifically.
For their largest...
You know what we call it? Aluminium.
Aluminium. Oh, we got a Brit in the room.
There's a phone.
Wouldn't you know that's my phone?
Oh, yeah, that's whenever people really want you.
And guess where? You ever get a lot of them?
Man,
Every
I have
day.
gotten so tired of getting those calls where it's just like, where they try to act like it's a
But you know
local
what?
number.
Can you live without your cell phone?
No, really,
You
because it's not only my phone, but it's my daily planner.
It's my clock.
It's my calendar. It's my alarm clock.
I don't wear a watch anymore.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never wear a watch.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I used to.
Yeah, I used to too.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
I still got them.
Now, Haley, my wife, she switched over to Apple. She just got an Apple Watch and loves it because...
But that's a cell phone?
Yes, but what she's using it for is it'll vibrate instead of this really loud, annoying alarm. So it's an alarm clock that'll vibrate. But also it's like your exercise tracking and all of that. Okay, anyway,
That's great.
We diverted to that conversation. But back to the Huntsville and Malaco thing. So you guys possibly were looking at that, but you were also looking at Huntsville?
As a possibility of going over there because we was offered, free property.
Why did you not go and you choose here? I mean, I know this is home.
Because, number one, we didn't want to leave, Muscle Shoals.
Right. And was it really just that simple that this was home?
This was home.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
And see, we had been traveling to New York to play on Aretha sessions and King Curtis sessions. And all these different sessions they were doing up there.
You played with Paul Simon up there, too.
Did Paul Simon up there. And we were, it was actually a whole group of artists we did up there.
Mm-hmm. You did like R.E.S.P.E.C.T. and a bunch of Arethas.
We did Respect. All the early Aretha records we did.
You did like Chain of Fools. Was that done up there as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huge Aretha fan. So.
That was Don Covey wrote that.
So that's interesting that you guys were considering moving to Huntsville. I guess it never really dawned on me that if I were in your shoes back in that day,
we just took all the
you would have to explore your options.
Yeah.
So
but we I don't think we were ever serious about it.
And there wasn't much to Huntsville in those days, was there? Not really.
Well,
you had the Arsenal.
What was cool about it? They had the best nightclubs.
Okay. Well,
and
they still do.
Yeah, and
honestly,
and they also had the best eating places.
Again,
and that's when I found out about Rosie's was Huntsville.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
that's where it started.
Mm-hmm.
You like some Rosie's?
And so that's what we'd actually go to Huntsville just to eat Rosie's. We loved it so much.
So did you guys go like scouting talent in Huntsville or anything like that at the nightclubs?
A little bit, yeah. We knew there were several clubs that we went to. There was one club, I can't remember the names of them now.
Well, there's been a bunch of them.
Yeah.
It's come and gone.
It's mostly gone. I don't think there's any.
We had Humphreys, Crossroads, but that's all in our time.
This was earlier stuff.
Yeah, that's in our generation.
There was a guy that had worked with Dan Penn, and he was from around Columbus, Mississippi, and Dan was from Vernon, Alabama. You remember Dan Penn?
Mm-hmm. I've never met Dan. We're good buddies with Spooner, but I don't know.
Unbelievable guy.
That's what I've heard from everybody.
Yeah, well, I spent a lot of time with him and Spooner. Spooner, I mean, one of the nicest humans in the world.
Absolutely, without a doubt. and full of talent.
Oh, man, he's unreal. And he and Roger were making the trip to New York from here. And that was the only three that were going. They were flying us, Wexler was flying us to New York. And then we would meet up with a couple of Memphis people, Chips Moman and Tommy Cogbill. Tommy Cogbill was he was the bass player that influenced David more than anybody. And he was the most. Did you ever hear him play?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean,
Cogbill.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to all that Memphis stuff.
Well, okay. Yeah. Do you remember? I'm trying to think of some of the stuff. It was a girl artist, son of a preacher man.
Oh yeah.
Who is that?
Who did that?
Dusty Springfield.
I mean, everybody knows that song.
It's Dusty Springfield.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's gonna be something
that was Reggie Young on guitar, and that was all part of the Memphis guys, the Memphis boys. That was Reggie Young, Tommy Cogbill, and Chips was mainly the owner of the studio and the producer. And he was producing acts like the Gentrys. Remember the Gentrys?
I know the name.
I don't.
It was a big band back then. They had a big hit.
I don't recognize the songs, but one of those I probably would know the song, but not the artist.
You might or might not, depending.
Right.
And, I know that name.
But it was really a wonderful time. I went to UNA.
So did I.
And I was going to UNA. David and I both, we were in basically the same class at Sheffield. We graduated together. We even graduated with a woman that I wound up marrying, my present wife.
Oh, all you guys, wow. Becky? You went with
Becky.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, she and I were in the first grade together.
Wow. How cool is that? So, and how long have you and her been married?
But we only been married 10 years.
Yeah.
But see, I was married 3 other times to other women before she became available, because she wound up later on getting a divorce, and that allowed me and her to get together.
Yeah, and seeing
but
you
we've
guys
been together.
together.
We've been together 10 years now.
The two of you together is just a beautiful love story, really. I mean, it's just seeing the two of you together, it's awesome.
See, she was the one I was always totally bananas about. She was the first blonde girl I ever saw. Growing up, there was just me and my brother, no sisters. And so I didn't consider my mother a woman.
Of course not. That's your mom.
She was mom.
Yeah.
Right.
And but anyway, but my dad was just a good, and he and my mother used to play and sing music, play together.
So that was a family thing.
Yeah, and my mother played guitar too.
Oh, cool. While we were talking about influences, you're talking about David's influences. Who would you say are your biggest heroes?
Well, there was Dad's brother, who was Dexter Johnson. Did you ever hear of him?
Mm-mm.
They lived just down the street from us. He wound up going to Memphis and doing sessions in Memphis. That's where he met Reggie. He met Reggie Young as a young boy.
Oh, wow. So this story starts way earlier than the days at Fame. That's amazing to me, because I've never heard this.
Pre-Fame. And then I met Rick Hall when he was with Billy Sherrill,
right,
and Tom Stafford.
They had this spot downtown Florence.
Well, at the drugstore, over the drugstore.
Right.
That was called Spar Studios.
What year would that have probably been?
Oh, Lord, shit.
Would it have been like late 50s, early 60s?
It was 50s.
Yeah, it had to be.
Yeah. That was some pretty wild years. And we'd go over there and we'd see Rick working. And Rick was just like, he would amaze us. They put this makeshift studio in. And he didn't have a talk back. He'd have to knock on the window
I've been there.
Rolling.
That studio, Spar Music, that's where You Better Move On, Arthur Alexander, was that where that was done?
Yeah.
Now, were you on that session?
No, that was actually cut at the tobacco building.
Oh, okay. That building's not standing anymore.
No,
is it?
well, it's not even. I don't think it's. I think it may be gone. May have been torn
Well, what
down.
kind of things did you guys work on at Spar?
At Spar, we cut some original Del Rey demos,
Okay.
and Spooner engineered them.
No way.
Spooner
I didn't know
engineered-
Spooner engineered.
Spooner engineered, and
I've got to
He does
ask
it all.
him. He's going to be on the podcast soon.
Okay,
And, we've just got to
he'll
arrange that.
tell you
I've got to
all
ask
about
him
that.
That's awesome. So how was
And,
Spooner as an engineer? I imagine.
Well, I mean, at the time, hell, we didn't know what a good engineer was about.
Well, there you go.
Except
love
we
how they're all
thought Rick
telling on
Hall
each
was,
other.
really outstanding. And
Well, his personality just seems perfect for that, though. Now that I think about it,
yeah,
it makes total sense.
well, I was his first employee. You knew that.
No,
I was Rick Hall's first employee.
Had no
learning a
clue.
lot. I'm in school right
when
now.
he opened Fame,
What do you have you doing? What do you have you doing?
well, I was just kind of assisting him in the studio, and he was teaching me how to clean the heads and demag and
Oh yeah,
this
fun.
kind of stuff. I mean,
So was that where you
that was the
started
biggest
learning to engineer?
maintenance we did,
So did you learn engineering from Rick?
Yeah, personally, yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That leads me to another question that I've been dying to ask you for, quite frankly, most of my life. Is I'm an engineer.
Are you rolling? Are you rolling?
I am.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool. I didn't know.
Yeah, we've been recording all of this. I'm an engineer, guitar player, producer, all of that. I mean, I play other instruments. I own a bass. I wouldn't call myself a bass player.
I play guitar.
Yeah, that's my main instrument. I've been playing since I was 6, 7 years old. I've been playing drums
What's your
almost as long.
favorite guitar?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I was going to ask you that.
My island guitar, I guess I would have to say, as far as the most versatile one, is my Telly, which I don't have in here, but my pride and joy is the one sitting right behind you,
What is that?
that 335.
Okay, I love them, but I
it's-
tell you what I love.
My
is,
Telly's probably, if I could only pick one electric guitar that I could do everything for the
Yeah.
most part that I want, that would be my Telly.
Well, I have a Gretsch.
Oh, yeah.
Country gentleman?
No,
No?
the one right under Chet Atkins model.
The,
yeah.
not the country
It's the
gentleman,
orange
but that's
one.
what model is that?
And you remember the orange one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, those songs
That's-
so
that's
good.
what I want.
Anyway,
I want
I
orange.
had an interesting thing happen. I had a Gretsch that I had bought used, and it got stolen.
Man, did we
At
not
the
just...
What is it with
same
y'all?
time that I also lost my Martin D28.
Oh no.
Not a HD28, a D28.
Yeah,
I like the
it was
D28
about
better.
$500 guitar.
Yeah, I like
Man.
the D better than
When would
HD.
this have been? When did these get stolen from you?
The reason this conversation is interesting is David was talking about a bass that was stolen from him
Yeah.
when he was on the road with traffic.
Right, now that was after mine got stolen. Mine got stolen first. There's two of them.
That just
I lost
plain
two
old
guitars
sucks.
in one shot.
Oh man.
And
Especially
they got them out of the studio.
they take
Down
anything else?
here. Once we got down here, they was back in that supply room,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and
So somebody had to know where that was.
well, it was one of the employees.
No way.
And we found out. There's a kid that we had hired that had been a neighbor of David Hood over in Florence, and this kid was a thief.
How did you handle that, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, we didn't know it was him until after, he left.
too late.
Then, I'm glad I didn't, because I'd have probably killed him, and I'd probably still be serving time.
Well,
Because,
Yeah.
stealing my guitar like that, I wanted to hurt him. Could you feel that same way?
Were those your main players? Because I bet so. You excited? I mean,
well,
not
that's your livelihood,
See,
first
it
of
was
all.
two of my favorite guitars.
I say that's what I was going around
Yeah, that's
too.
your livelihood. That's.
Yeah.
Did you ever get them back?
But my favorite guitar is a Telly.
Yeah, that's what I've
Style.
usually. Yeah.
I mean, I can use a lot of different clones. Matter of fact, I have a guitar that it's called the Swamper.
Mm-hmm.
That was specially made for me by a guitar company.
Was that the one that you had when we were down there at Billy Lawson's old studio?
Might have been.
The one across from Champy's that he called Big Star?
Yeah.
Were you
I think
playing?
So. I think I was playing that.
Yeah, that's a nice
It's
guitar.
a guitar. I'm fixing to give that guitar. I'm having a birthday party in February.
Awesome.
At the Shoals Theater.
Okay, cool. So are they doing a thing?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I'm gonna give my guitar on stage to Jay. I'm gonna give it to him.
Hand it down.
See, I can't play anymore.
Oh no, I didn't realize that.
Well, you know how many years I played? Guess how many years?
I gotta.
60.
60
I was gonna say 60. Yeah.
60 years.
So
I did 60 years, and finally, I had to call to go to Malaco again, and I just realized that my chops were so bad.
Now, can you sit around the house and enjoy playing?
No.
Is it your fingers? Arthritis?
Unless you stay in shape.
Yeah.
Like, see, you know how much we played every day?
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine?
Oh yeah. That's
We were playing. I tell you what I had every day. They put a new set of strings on my guitar every day.
Wearing them out?
Huh?
Just wearing them out? Playing them out?
No, I got them free, and I just had Steve Melton, remember him? Working for me. He was one of our engineers and everything.
Incredible engineer.
And a great one. He became great, and he would put a new set of guitar strings on my guitar every day. And I'd come in and be tuned up and ready to go. I had like my own guitar guy, you know.
Well, that made his job easier too, though, because he wasn't ever dealing with a guitar player that had old dead strings that wouldn't stay in tune. So I imagine from an engineering standpoint.
Well, see, my sound was always bright and always crisp. And
Which for your style
the new
was,
strings.
Yeah.
But isn't that amazing every day?
Well, I couldn't imagine.
See, I'd get like 100 set of strings free. And
wow.
And they'd be just wound up in a circle, and there'd be maybe 50 strings on a stem. And so I just take and have one for each chord, each, you know.
Well,
that's cool.
That's
Sounds
really
like
cool.
A guitar tree, just go up and pick a string off of it. And
a guitar tree. Well, let me ask you this. I started out as a guitar player, and I didn't realize that I was doing engineering nerdy tone things when I was very meticulously adjusting amp tones and things like that. But that's what it was. How did you strike a balance with being a guitar player who was really busy doing that thing, as well as being an engineer and a producer, wearing different hats? How did you?
I just wound up going from one to another thing. I found out that in our industry, you couldn't make a living year-round in our business unless you had more than one flow of revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that to be true with myself too.
Because,
and a lot of people like just do one thing and do one thing well.
No, you
and
can't.
Very ultra niche down, and that works for some people. But me, I
in
can't
order to
separate
keep my
yeah.
income at a certain level, I had to do a bunch of things.
Well, I find that
And
being
see,
an
I was
engineer,
a publisher.
yeah,
We had 5 publishing companies, and
5. So what were those 5?
well, see, there was Muscle Shoals Sound, and then there was Formula Music, and then there was, golly, I can't remember all of them.
Either way, you had 5. That's
We had
awesome.
5.
And were they all handled in that one office down the hall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was all handled through Diane Butler.
Well, what was the relationship with Capitol having their office next door to where?
Well,
I'm
they
at?
were just what it was. We had a label deal with them, and we hired Michael Barnett to run our label, and it was MSS Capitol, and it was a Capitol label, and right on the top it had an MSS on it.
Okay.
It was built into the
Right,
label.
yeah, I've seen
That's
that.
cool.
Yeah. You've seen it too, you just may not.
Yeah, I'm not placing it, but I bet I have.
Yeah, you've seen it. Well, so who was, this is kind of a derailing conversation, but who did the logos? Like the coffee mug you're holding.
There was
who
a
did that?
guy. Now this was Ralph Rhodes did that from Florence. He was his name. He was like an artist and a real talented guy. But he did our first T-shirt. That was it.
Well, the MSS logo, who did that?
MSS.
that's really a great logo.
That was a great one. It looked like a tire track.
I never thought about it, but it kind of does. Yeah.
That was a top designing company out of New York did that.
Well, it's a great one.
And it was a gift.
Really?
From a record company to us. A record label made that gift to us. It's like a whole, cards, stationery, everything.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's even down to the color of the paper.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
The color of the card. And everything looked so good.
Oh yeah, it's great.
It's like so professional.
Well, I just got Scott Campbell to do my logo.
Okay, now
I met Scott.
I met him.
Incredibly nice guy.
Yeah,
an artist in every sense of the word.
Have you seen his work?
Oh yeah, that's why I got him to do my logo for my studio, Heretel Studios.
Yeah,
where we're at now. I've had my studio. I've been down here for 7 years, but I've had my studio for 10 years, and it was just time I get a professional logo that doesn't look like I just.
Have you saw his train?
Oh, that's amazing. Have you seen the album art for Billy Ray Cyrus's new record?
No, but I saw one that.
Oh my goodness.
Did you see the one that's got I'll Take You There on it and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the new Muscle Shoals.
Yeah, I think it's
Small Town Big Sound.
What was it was that restaurant over there.
Yeah, Trowbridge's.
Trowbridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been there over 100 years.
Yeah.
Classic example of doing business right. But yeah,
You ever had a chili dog over there?
I have, man. They have the best chili dogs.
They're good.
Oh,
In
my
the
favorite
world.
thing. My favorite thing there is their egg and olive sandwich.
They make that's great.
That's
they
awesome.
make great tuna.
They've got a great tuna sandwich too, and I'm picky about tuna sandwiches.
Man, I just like the ice cream cones.
Man, I'm gonna have to go to Trowbridge's on the way home. How did you balance wearing all the different hats? I mean, to me, I find that it kind of happens organically. That it's just you just do what you need to do that day.
Yeah.
But a lot of people seem to find that as an odd thing.
Well, see, I learned from Recall that you had to do more than one thing.
Yeah.
To make a living and make a decent living. And of course, we wound up, doing very well.
Absolutely. So
I think that's an understatement. Yeah.
On what is your philosophy on gear and I guess.
You mean amps and stuff?
Well, maybe as a guitar player, as an engineer, and I mean, nowadays I'm recording this on a laptop.
You know what my favorite amp is? Fender Vibrolux.
Yeah.
Now, what is the difference in the Vibrolux and the Twin?
Okay, the Twin is just a lot of power.
Right.
That you don't need.
Right. I've got a deluxe reverb sitting right there,
Deluxe
which is
great too.
Same thing, but it's less wattage.
I like the power of the 6L6s. See, you got 6 V6s that's in the
deluxe, yeah.
And it's not as kick ass as the Vibrolux, but a Vibrolux has got the same punch that the Twin amp's got. But it's only half of the amp.
It's only one speaker as opposed to two, right?
Yeah. I have a 2-speaker.
Is it 2?
Vibrolux 210s.
Oh, okay. So it's got a little more mid-range to it. That's like I'm actually shopping for.
We have 4 of them down here, just all over the building, and I wound up with 2 of them.
You ever use pedals much?
All the time.
What's your favorite overdrive pedal?
God, I can't remember now. There was, different boxes for this. I had one that I used on some Bob Seger stuff. It was a combination foot pedal and a wah, and all about everything combined. And then it had another sound called the rotor sound or something.
Is that Roto Vibe?
Well, they don't make it anymore. But
I don't think they make that one.
I used it on, I wish I could remember what record. If I saw the titles, I could tell you. But it was a great sound.
So when you would sit down for a record,
I used effects.
So how would you approach that? I mean, would you spend a lot of time getting the right sound for that song?
You couldn't.
Yeah, that's why I asked that.
I had to kind of know what I could get out of it and go to that sound, bam, and then play it.
Gotcha.
Because we had to play. We were doing 4 and 5 songs a day.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
Finished tracks.
Yeah, including overdubs and vocals.
Well, just tracks.
That's still
I'm still
that's a lot.
But we'd
That's a
have
lot.
pilot vocals.
That's a lot, though.
Yeah.
For record, not a demo.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a different conversation.
Yeah, but even for records, I mean.
Yeah.
But that's all we were. We wasn't really cutting demos.
That's what I'm saying.
Cutting
It's,
records.
to get
every
4
day.
songs and 4 demos in a day is not that big a deal. To get 4 songs for a
new
record,
act every Monday morning. Wow. We'd have a new artist coming in every Monday morning.
Was that ever stressful?
Huh?
Having a new artist come in every week? Did you know what you were getting, or was
No.
it just surprise? Here they are.
Well, we knew the artist that was coming, and sometimes we didn't know.
sometimes it was just like, here they are, let's do the thing.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
terrifying.
So how was this is one thing I've always been curious about in this building. Studios A and B were both operating simultaneously, usually, right?
Yeah.
Am I correct in my assumption that A was like the main tracking room,
It
and then you would
was.
go do overdubs
And then
mixing
all the
and stuff?
mixing and finishing the record was in B.
Okay, all the mixing in B?
Yeah, because that's
Okay.
where the NECAM was. We didn't have a NECAM. The automation was only in B.
Oh, okay. So, but for me, for whatever reason, I just really like A is amazing, but I really like B.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
really
B's
like
B's
Studio
a
B.
great room, but A is too. Really.
Yeah, they both are
for
some of the best
tracking.
rooms in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you guys came from this small space, which is an incredible 3614 Jackson Highway, the original sound. It's so cool and iconic, but you guys moved from that to here, where you really could put on the creativity hat and could have a really good workflow.
Well, we had a studio that was world equal to any in the world.
Well, it still is. The
Yeah.
rooms are still some of the best rooms in
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
And the ability just to have 2 rooms that you could do things in at the same time.
Yeah.
That had to. How was that? Moving from that.
It was great.
There had to be like a sense of finally, like, oh, we can do this. Now we have all this available.
And we never dreamed that, we'd have something like this.
Right. Well, did you guys ever have 2 artists simultaneously going on in like A and B?
Yeah.
Do you remember any examples of that?
People like Dr. Hook. And, we'd have sometimes 2 different acts in a day.
That's awesome. Who was the first recording here, if you remember? Was it Dr. Hook?
I think it was Hook. Because Hook moved down. He was finishing up the other studio. We didn't even miss a day. We came right down in here and just kept going.
Wow.
So I wouldn't have
So
thought
there
that
was
out of-
no downtime?
No, because by the time we opened the A up, see, we were still using the studio at 36. And
That's smart business. And
Yeah.
that's hard to not have downtime.
well, to schedule it like that, I mean, there was not a day. I don't even think we missed a day.
That's amazing. That blows my mind as much as anything, because scheduling and getting clients and all of that, obviously you guys have built a reputation and people I'm sure would come to
we
you.
had a
but
real
still.
work ethic.
Yeah, obviously, and it shows.
And it sounds like work. A lot of people think the music business is,
Fun.
all yeah.
Well, it is fun.
And-
but
and it's
you
not
work,
a
too.
job.
You told a lie. Well, no,
And it's
it's
not-
No, it is fun. We
It is.
wouldn't still be doing it. If,
everybody used to come to me and say, when you going to get you a job?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
I've had
heard
that, and it's one of the most obnoxious things for people that don't know. It's a job. It's a serious.
And that leads to a question I
Thing.
wanted to ask you. Did you ever feel like you were punching a time clock? Did you ever just get tired of it?
Well, it's in a way, but since we'd have a new act every Monday, a new, something totally different style, different. Most of the time it was totally different.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And we'd go from almost country records sometimes to a blues record.
Right. Well, see, I've been blessed with that myself. That, like, last Monday, I was in Corinth at a guy's studio he has in his basement, real nice setup, recording a bluegrass band. I've got to get the mixes done for that. Last night, I had a pop act in here. The day before, I had some hip-hop rap guys.
Right.
The other day, but a day or two before that, I had a rock guy act. And I'm,
Well, you know
the
how
day before that was
you've been scheduling this, right?
right, yeah.
So, I mean,
I have to live by my phone.
You know what we went through.
Oh, God. I can't imagine living without my phone and without Google Calendars on my computer, because having to write all of this stuff down, and I mean, I did that for a while.
We had a book.
Yeah, I did too, and it was just keeping up with that was a nightmare. And I'm not near the level and caliber of what you guys were. But even still.
But you are, because we was no different from you. I mean, we were just before you, that's all.
Well, that's a weird thing to hear. As promised, we had another great interview for you guys. Thanks for listening.
Man, what is there to say about Jimmy Johnson that's not already been said? It's hard to overstate just how important this man is and was to music. And if you're listening to this podcast, I assume it's because you have a deep love of music, maybe deeper than what the average Joe does. So I'm hoping we've brought you something really special, and we've got more coming, right?
Oh, yeah. We've got 2 more parts to this interview. So stay with us, and the stories get pretty cool. It's awesome. I really enjoyed this interview because Jimmy's a hero, someone I grew up admiring, and then had the chance a few years ago to work with him, his son, and his grandson in the studio. And I think that's the first and maybe the only time that all 3 generations worked together in the studio. That was such a cool experience, and just the joy on their faces working on some a redo of a Aretha Franklin song.
Oh man!
And that was very special. That's a good memory for me. David Hood was on bass on that too. So yeah.
I mean, who else would you have wanted?
Well, there's a lot of great bass players, but he was the original guy. So
I mean, exactly.
He brought out the original charts, which was humbling to say the least. But anyway, thanks again.
The guy was able to find his serial number from the first bass he bought back in the 60s. It doesn't surprise me he had the charts.
No, if anybody's organized, David's organized. Jimmy was an absolute pleasure to interview. He's such a kind, sweet guy, as all these people are. So thanks to Jimmy. Also, thanks to you, our listeners. Be sure to tell your friends. We always ask you that, but we still ask. It helps us out a lot, more than you may realize. We appreciate feedback and reviews and ratings too, because it helps us grow and get better at this. We're still learning in the trenches. And
they're very much the lifeblood of every podcast. You know, it may be 30 seconds of your day, but those ratings and reviews on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever it is you're listening to podcasts, those help the next person find what we're doing, and
absolutely
it helps us bring you guys better interviews, new people, because hey, the more people that know about us, the easier it is to say, hey, would you like to come on our podcast? Now, we can always say that, but it makes it easier to get a yes.
Yeah, so yeah. Hey guys, thanks again.